communities or in kind of making a difference. Obviously, it wasn't true then. It's not true now, but that was kind of the original thought was we need to actively work at this. If people understand that's what college is about, you know, and it's not true, we need to kind of work to address it. And so Campus Compact was founded. There simultaneously were other things going on. There was a student organization that said, we want more opportunities to get into the community as part of our learning. And then that was called the Campus Opportunities Outreach League, or COOL. And then there was a faculty component to it, where faculty members said, you know, if we're going to address the huge challenges that are out there societally, we need to kind of come together and do more to kind of push ourselves and open the classroom to beyond simply kind of the lecture on campus sort of side of things. And the idea that service learning was a big way to do this kind of came about. And that was the Invisible College is what that was called. And so a lot of things were happening in the 80s, and Campus Compact was kind of the institutional presidential side of that, where presidents got together and said, look, we believe that, you know, higher ed has this enormous potential for doing good in communities, so we have to work together across institutions, put aside our rivalries and say, we're higher ed, we're doing some really good work, how do we amplify that so that, you know, students are getting better experiences, and we're doing more to address the pressing needs that are out there. So all of our institutions are affiliates, we call them. So University of Montana, Miles Community College, they put a check in the mail annually and say, we want to be part of this Campus Compact thing. And that helps our office downstairs operate. And that's the model across the country. So they believe in it to the extent that they will pay for it. So it's a real thing. Questions at this point? Just gonna hammer out the info here otherwise. So yeah, founded in 1985. Our organization was founded in 1993. And who knows who was probably involved in that founding. And he recently passed away. But, yeah, there's a Montana historian. But George Dennison was the University of Montana's president for 20-ish years, from the early 90s through just about 5 years ago. And Dennison also served on the Montana Commission of Community Service, which does kind of the, you know, promotes volunteerism, administers AmeriCorps programs, and kind of is a citizen-led board of directors for this stuff. And he was the, while being university president, he chaired that group. So he kind of pulled his colleagues together in Montana and said, hey, there's this national movement where college presidents are saying, let's get higher ed more invested in community, and kind of drove it. And that started in 1993. Again, each institution is an affiliate, and we have nationally over just about 1,100 campuses are part of Campus Compact. And there are 31 state offices, similar to what we have in Montana. Some of them are regional. There's kind of this emerging, like, rather than having Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts Campus Compact, there's an emerging sort of regional model that's like Southern New England Campus Compact that includes those 3 states. But yeah, we're all across the country. Next one, please.
Does that work? Maybe because I clicked on something.
So these are our affiliate campuses here. You know, what you'll see here is kind of the entirety of the Montana University system. So the 8 MSU and UM campuses, the 3 community colleges. Those 11 colleges make up the kind of the public side of higher ed in Montana. And then additionally, we've got a handful of the tribal colleges: Fort Peck Community College, Black Creek Community College, Little Bighorn College, and maybe those are the three that we've got. And SKC, obviously. Whew. Sorry, SKC. Our most important college, Sandwich Kootenai College. As well as private institutions like University of Great Falls and Rocky. And so we cover kind of all institution types. We're not limited to, say, public higher ed or private higher ed in Montana or community colleges. This is a higher ed movement. So it's a pretty diverse set of institutions that we work with, and each of them is connected in some way to a Vista project. So that's how we kind of make this happen for an organization like Sunburst in Great Falls. By virtue of there being University of Great Falls and Great Falls College, we're able to have a Vista program which translates to resources for a community partner. Questions on who Campus Compact is or what Campus Compact is? Why? Yes?
I don't know if you may have gone over this or not, but so is the headquarters for Montana Campus Compact here in Missoula, or are there offices like this at every one of those?
Great question. So yes, we call it our network office because we're not a top-down organization, and it's downstairs. We're hosted by the University of Montana, and we're in Davidson Honors College, this building 020. So stop by if you haven't and say hello. We're downstairs here. Each of our affiliate campuses, our structure is that we have an advisory committee, and there probably are advisory committee members at each of these campuses. There are site supervisors, folks directly involved with, if there's a Vista team, summer associate Vista team serving from a campus, there will be a site supervisor there. If there's a full-time Vista project going on, there will be a site supervisor there. If there's an AmeriCorps team happening, there will be a site supervisor there. And then we have a board member in typically the college president. So there's not directly a Campus Compact office, but there's a number of people that we work with. Great question. Others about how this stuff all sort of plays out? Anybody on the call? Okay. So our mission is that Campus Compact advances the public purposes of colleges and universities by deepening their ability to improve community life and educate students for civic and social responsibility. Which is a total mouthful. I mean, it's probably the longest mission in the existence of mission statements anywhere. I offered you a little hyperbole this morning, but I think it does kind of accurately describe what we're about and why we do it. Anybody have any, if you were to say, I'm serving with Campus Compact this summer, somebody said, well, what's Campus Compact? What would you tell them based on this? Like, how would you say that in your own words? Anybody want to, brave souls, want to give that a shot?
Organization that promotes involvement.
Nice. Very good.
Can you repeat that for these people?
Yeah, so she said, and then Campus Compact is an organization that promotes involvement in the community. Other things stand out? To me, I always think of this in three kind of distinct chunks. Advancing the public purposes, what's a public purpose or public good of higher ed? The big one. If you were somebody were going to say, okay, pop quiz. Public purposes of higher ed.
Educated society, informed citizens.
Thank you very much. Yeah, an educated society and informed citizens. People who kind of have a systematic approach to solving problems, can write well, know a discipline. That's the biggie. That's what higher ed delivers. So broadly, we're about like, hey, how do we push this public purpose, this thing that says higher ed is around to do good for the world and for local communities. Deepening their ability to improve community life. So what's that all about? I think that's the involvement piece. That's the stuff that's like, okay, let's get students kind of actively involved in as volunteers in communities. You know, that's the stuff that's pretty tangible to me. Or faculty members using service learning pedagogy so that campuses are kind of finding kind of real world scenarios for students to chew on as part of their education. And then educating for students for civic and social responsibility. So saying, in addition to kind of like learning a field of study, a major, a discipline, there's this stuff called civic and social responsibility. What's that all about? I didn't think this would be an interactive. Sam's got Go ahead.
Just educating students on how to translate their skills into the real world, like activities they can bring into their community and get accomplished.
So Sam says, educating students on kind of real world activities and skills that they can, say that last part again?
Or just applying their skills.
And applying skills, okay? Yes, please.
Educating them and recognizing that they all have a role in their communities.
Yes, thank you. So educating students and letting them know that they have a role in our community. What does it mean to be civically or socially responsible?
To take like issues into our own hands, like I guess.
Yeah,
Social
taking
issues or whatever towards.
Yeah, caring about public problems or public issues and doing something about them. Very well put. So if you kind of think of it in those three parts, I think it's a little easier to talk about. Getting students involved in community, public good of higher ed, this big kind of picture thing, and then real tangible students taking ownership of bigger societal problems and working to do something about them. So that's our mission. Everybody got it? The end of at 11:30, you'll all be able to talk about advancing public purposes of higher education. Yeah, okay. It's on our website. Please learn at least some version of it so you can tell people. I think the involving students in the community side is a great sort of snapshot of what we're about. So what's unique about Vista Service with Campus Compact? We're a higher ed intermediary. We're an education organization. So hopefully that is kind of a common thread across our Vista projects. You may be working with youth, you may be working with hunger, you may be doing a number of things as a Vista Summer Associate, but hopefully there is some sort of thread of this idea that higher ed is behind this, and we are promoting the idea that education is an important thing, and we don't have a single way of looking at what higher ed is in this state. There's a lot of diverse opportunity out there. So anyway, I'll move over to my bullets. Addressing real needs in our community. So each of your projects represents like the backstory of the assignment that you've got represents kind of somebody at an organization saying, hey, we want to address this need in our community. And we put them through the ringer. If they tell us like, the need is that we don't have this program. We typically say, that's not a need, that's you just saying you want a program. Like, what are you working to accomplish? What do you see out there that's, is it something like kids are not performing at their grade level and you want to use the summer to sort of keep them interested in school, or kids going to go hungry because they rely on free and reduced lunch, and that doesn't happen over the summertime when school's closed. What is actually the need? So each of your projects is very much addressing a real need in the community, and I think that distinguishes it from kind of, in many ways, a job, say, in the for-profit world. Recruiting other college students as volunteers. So obviously it's summertime and we take this with a grain of salt, but we know you also are incredible individuals and problem solvers. So if there are ways that you can figure out how to involve college students in your work, that's a big way that we get our mission done. obviously taking pride in your work and representing your campus well in the community. So each of these projects exist because of some compact campus, some affiliate of ours, University of Montana, or like I said, it's Fort Peck Community College. So you're part of this organization now. So doing great with that and saying like this is something that I believe in and I'm gonna take a lot of kind of ownership over is important. And talking about college with younger kids, to the extent that you have interaction with young people, we really see a big way that we can kind of promote the idea of higher ed and post-secondary education as just interactions and saying like, this is kind of what it's about. Me as either a current college student or a recent grad, this was kind of how I found myself there. This is what it was like. This is what I enjoyed about it. This is what is challenging. And I think representing that really authentically and saying, you know, here's kind of the struggle of it, but here's what's amazing about it, and communicating about what college is with younger kids, especially those who maybe don't have family histories of going to college, is a huge way that I think being a compact Vista is unique. Questions on this or other thoughts that you have to add to it?
Just say, Stephen brought up a good point. I have to agree that I had no idea what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Right. Yeah, we spend a lot of time with our kind of nose down and just cranking on our stuff, and we don't have a huge promotions budget or like a communications staff, but it's an excellent point. So that's another thing I should have on this list is helping spread the word about what Campus Compact is. Like our Facebook page. Send us pictures of yourself doing service or something that you're proud of. We love talking about that. And that's a big part of kind of getting at what you're saying. Folks do not know about this to the extent that they ought to. Other questions here? This is my last one? Okay.
I
So
can talk about this, sir, unless you want to. That's fine.
I'll give it a shot. Why don't we do hop in?
Okay.
So this is kind of a flow chart of how this all happens and where you fit in. And it could go either way. We happen just to start because the dollars, most of the dollars come from the federal government. I mean, that's the AmeriCorps Vista at the very top. So we write a grant every year and say, hey, AmeriCorps Vista, we got all kinds of needs in communities across Montana. Help us place talented folks with organizations and colleges so that they can get involved and do something about these challenges out there. Part of our program is the Summer Associate Program. We also have a full-time Vista program, but the big part of what we do and why you're all here is the Summer Associate Vista program. And that's a national thing. Other people probably right at this very time across the country are being oriented to what it means to be a Summer Associate Vista. So Campus Compact obviously operates this Vista program. So that's a layer of kind of your identity within all of this. You'll be AmeriCorps Vistas with Montana Campus Compact serving from the CFAC or Boys and Girls Club or you name it. There's kind of three players so far, right? AmeriCorps Vista, Montana Campus Compact, local host site. Your host site, and that's kind of the jargony way that we talk about the actual organization that you're working for. So Missoula Parks and Rec, or the Community Cafe with HRDC. You hear the word host site, that's just our way of saying that spot where you work. And we call it a host site because it has, we have some unique expectations of it in this world. And at your host site, you've got a site supervisor. That person in other language is probably your boss, the person that helps kind of get you set up and lined up for doing your service. And then there is you, the AmeriCorps Vista member, serving with Host site, AmeriCorps Vista, Montana Campus Compact. And we use the terminology AmeriCorps Vista or Vista member and not volunteer or worker, because national service is a pretty, as you can see, this is a pretty unique deal. It's not like a standard job in a lot of ways. And we want to honor the fact that you're taking an oath of service today. And that means something different from traditional work and different from traditional volunteerism. So the words work and volunteer, neither of them do justice to what you are about to embark on. And that's why we get into some of this jargon, like I'm a Vista or I'm a Vista member and I serve with. It's because this is national service. It's kind of, it's a serious thing. And when you do it, it's kind of, the expectations in some ways are beyond what a typical work environment might request of you. So I've been yakking. What do you
No, that's great.
to add?
I'll add, thanks for running through that. So obviously this is pretty complicated. This is a pretty rudimentary flow chart. But also in terms of understanding who you are, that you're a Vista member, not a volunteer, you're not a worker, it's the correct people. We really rely on you all to go out and represent AmeriCorps Vista as well as Montana Campus Compact and your host site. We hope you understand this bigger picture, and then when someone calls you, oh, this is Amy, this is our volunteer, or AmeriCorps volunteer, say, actually I'm a Vista member, or I'm a Vista with Montana Campus Compact, so that people can help you can help other people understand who you are and what you're doing. Because again, you're so much more than a volunteer. You're part of this national movement to get things done for America. That's the motto of the little get things done for America. Okay, and so another little breakdown that we have for you, because it is complicated, and we expect that you're gonna potentially fumble through this a bit, but we're here to help. So we could try to delineate kind of how you will contact Montana Campus Compact and our role with you moving forward, as well as that of your host site, so your service site. So for Montana Campus Compact, we're leading the training right now with you and talking about AmeriCorps service and Montana Campus Compact, and we're going to get through the expectations and roles that you'll play through your term. We're going to also talk about reporting. So kind of the bigger picture stuff is going to be through us. You're paid through Montana Campus Compact. You report to Montana Campus Compact. You receive your education award and your living stipend through Montana Campus Compact. Your host site is kind of everything else. So all the day-to-day stuff kind of moving on from here. You'll go to your host site. You'll report to your host site, check in about your schedule, what you're supposed to be wearing, if there's other trainings that you have to go through with them. If you're sick, you want to tell them and not us. You can tell us, but we're going to direct you to your supervisor to tell them. If you have there's no vacation associated with this service term. However, if you had some pre-planned trips or days off, work that out with your site supervisor rather than with us. So again, that's the day-to-day contact in terms of your schedule, training, service, etc. We put conflicts with site or role on both of these lines. We're here to help and support you as well as your site and your supervisor. So definitely acknowledge all of the resources that you have and use them all if you'd like. Any questions or any additions from our team, Montana Campus Compact team? Any questions for the folks on the webinar? They are muted. You can unmute yourself though. Thanks, Holder. Or chat. There's a chat option too. Okay, right on time. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
So
I
Sam,
want to hop in real quick. So the reporting is like giving us the data from your service, not to whom do you report. I mean, that traditionally, like any kind of work situation, national service has a supervisor, and that's the host site supervisor. That's the boss role. So I think where this can get complicated is kind of the role that our office plays. You very much work for your host site, and serve with your host site. So if there's one thing that you leave here today with, don't think that's confusing, I guess. We want you to get along well with your site supervisor, to work out challenges with your site supervisor, to ask them for what you need to be successful. And we will back you up on any of that, but that is also like not different than any other kind of work situation. We support you. We need to know what impact you're having, and we will, help with. We will provide your pay and your education award and your shirt. But for all intents and purposes, we've got a very strong relationship with your host site to look forward to.
Thanks, John.
Reiterating.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
All right, so we're gonna move on right into some do's and don'ts. This is a federal program, so we do have some regulations.
Oh,
And Sam, no, go ahead. What'd you say?
Okay, yeah.
I can click through if we want to.
Yeah, sure. Just real quickly to orient you to the dues of service. One thing we like to see is you guys repping AmeriCorps. I did today, not because I was told to, but because I actually like this, and it's probably like a third of my wardrobe right now is AmeriCorps stuff. So, also immerse yourself in your community. How many of you are not from Viscola that are serving Viscola? One. Where are you from?
California.
Oh, right. Awesome. Well, then for you especially, really immerse yourself in your community. I'm actually good friends with this is the number you're going to be working with. So if you ever need a contact, but
We've got
yeah,
some other states in the.
and do we have anyone else?
If anyone else wants to chime in, where you're from around the country here. Let's see. I gotta close out, I guess, to see the chat bar.
Yeah.
Where are you, chat?
Great.
Chats.
No, probably not that. Anyways.
All right, we know that there are other people around the.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. California. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Great. So we've got people from all over. And we'll talk about reporting stuff, Amanda, in a little bit here.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a huge factor for you all. Even if you have been in Viscola for a while, maybe you haven't been engaged in the organizations that you're going to be working for, and the networks that they have will really expand your opportunities and how you connect with your community. So how many of you have actually worked or been associated with your organization prior to being placed there? Actually, a couple of you? Great. And so for most of you, it'll be a brand new experience. So show up on time every day. The service, it's pretty obvious. Refer to your position as service. It's not, technically you're not a volunteer, you're not working per se. Saying that you're in service to others paints a way different picture than if you say we're working for an organization. I think that speaks a lot to the commitment that you guys are going to make, and to really keep it in your own minds, like how am I engaging with the people that I serve? So it's good terminology. Take pictures and send them to us. This can be a wild summer. We have a lot of members. There's going to be a lot of awesome things going down. So hopefully we'll be able to do some pretty extensive montages of you guys' service.
Do we do reach out to our those sites to see if they require like a photo?
Yeah, so that's a good point. A lot of you on the call and here will be working with youth, and that's huge. Obviously, you're not going to be wanting to whip out your phone and snap photos of the kids. One of the clear ways I've been told that you can do it is if there's no faces involved, you can take pictures of backs of heads if they're watching a demonstration. Otherwise, you do have to get, and it'll be site specific. So, and yeah, share your service stories to my email there, and I'll help filter them. And yeah, definitely have fun. I mean, it's short 10 weeks. It's going to fly by. And it's in the heat of the summer, which is exciting. You'll be outside with youth, hopefully, most of the time. So.
Okay.
The do nots. Not to say that you can't be involved in these on your own time, but if you're wearing Vista gear and or at your organization, don't be promoting any political figures per se or religious leanings. just kind of be a facilitator rather than a, telling people what to do per se. So no union organizing, I don't know what's involved in that, but maybe. And so we don't have any sites that work with providing worship services for girls, but out of time you can. No alcohol consumption at all during service, that means 24 hours of time. Just not during here.
And a big one on that, I'll step in, is so we're going to give you these shirts and we want you to wear them all the time. However, if you are going to a brewery or to a bar, please don't wear that shirt. Please do not represent AmeriCorps while you're engaged in dangerous or any of these activities. Just choose a different wardrobe.
Yeah, safety risks, participating in activities that pose a significant risk to clients or so. So, I mean, that's going to be something we run through pretty extensively. Emergency protocols, safety protocols with youth. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks, Sam. Oh, and then did you do this one too?
Yeah. So an obvious one is the difference, a benefit of joining AmeriCorps is to make a difference in your community. And also to build a network, a larger network of service-minded individuals. Now that look around the room, these are people that share similar values in assisting youth, educating youth. It's huge to be able to influence youth throughout that, development stage. And I think it's really important to connect college student age people. Every decade needs to have an influence on the growth of youth. And I think, building those networks that you will be able to do will bring about that change. Opportunity to grow professionally and personally. So you can, like I said, build networks and just be part of this national service movement. You can kind of look to the bigger picture. For year-long service members, there are 75,000 people that serve every year just from the year-longs. And that's, those placements are even harder to make because of an extensive commitment, but there's, even more summer associates doing this work. It's pretty incredible. And you get to earn an AmeriCorps Education Award once you successfully complete your term. I wish I would have known about Summer Associate AmeriCorps during my college years. I think it's a great way to do some impactful work over the summer.
Great.
Yeah, get some others.
And we're gonna, our webinar, right before we take an oath of service, we're gonna find out some more information about the Education Award. So don't worry, we'll cover that in more detail in a bit.
Any questions?
Okay. Thanks, Sam. So just some nuts and bolts here for the last 15 or so minutes before we transition to this state orientation and then the oath, taking the oath. Is that like any service position, any job, there's paperwork associated, and you all know that. You've got a big packet from our office. So you cannot serve unless you complete those packets, but Kathy, who's in here this morning, she'll be contacting you and following up with you if anything is missing. So please respond to her. She's a very important part of getting you paid. We have some reporting requirements. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. It's not super extensive for you all. Your term is so short, but it is so essential that we get those numbers from you. And of course, complete the full term. We understand if things come up where you have to leave early, but our main priority is for you to commit to the full 10 weeks. Again, like Sam said, it'll fly by, and you will not be able to receive the Education Award unless you fully complete that term. So again, August 9th, that's the end date. And then there's also some other paperwork that we're going to talk about, which is that benefits form and the oath form that I'll need from everyone today. Okay, so let's talk about that money. So again, you receive $455.67, and that's pre-tax biweekly. Your first paycheck will be mailed to you. You completed a form with a permanent mailing address or a current mailing address as part of your paperwork. If you've moved since you filled out that paperwork, please let us know. We obviously want to make sure that check gets to you because again, that check will be mailed to you first and then your direct deposit will kick in and you'll be able to get that money electronically. So the check will be mailed on June 14th. So if you're in the midst of service, obviously June 14th is 2 weeks or so from now. And it's good to know also that it will not be that full amount, because I should have looked at the pay period. And if anyone wants to know, I can definitely dig up that information. But your first day falls within that pay period. So you won't, your first paycheck again will be smaller than that amount. Just know that that's normal. We're not shorting you any money, but again, because you're not starting in that full pay period. So your second paycheck will be that full amount. And again, if you want to know the details and breakdowns of when, how much that'll be, or when, you can either email me or talk to me after, and I can figure that out for you. Good thing to know about, we definitely talked about this on intake when you were committed to the service and interview, is that we do not have health insurance or relocation. Most of you are local in this room anyway, so there's no relocation or housing affiliated with this, and no paid leave. So no vacation time. Again, if you had some prearranged things, talk to your site supervisor about that stuff. We don't need to know those details. I know there's some people, someone's going on a family reunion, but they're just extending their service by a week. So there's some flexibility with your term. But the pay dates will be June 1st to August 9th. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving unless I see any questions here, but I don't see any in the chat. All right, so this is the reporting stuff. I'm gonna breeze through this. Basically, the important dates that you're gonna wanna know and remember are June 30th and July 28th. So that's obviously the end of this month and just before the end of your service. And so Sam will send you out a reminder. Don't worry, you don't have to remember this, but Sam will send a reminder. We're gonna set up a Gmail account for everyone so that we can, we basically put stuff on Google Drive, and then you'll be able to easily access that through Gmail. That'll be temporarily available to you during the summertime. That'll be your last name at mtcompact.org. So again, Sam will send out a reminder a couple days before June 30th, a couple days before July 28th. July 30th is a Sunday. I think that's why I went with the 28th. But so for that inconsistency there. So again, he'll send a reminder, and this is a bit about what the report looks like. Again, it's a Google form. This is an example from the Missoula Food Bank. So there's a couple. They're going to have numbers associated with them. The first 2 to 4 performance measures, and well, we've got a chart to kind of explain more about what that's going to look like in this next slide. Basically, it's a whole long list of questions about how many volunteers you're recruiting, if that's applicable to you, how many folks, how many children you're reaching. Again, some of this is not going to be applicable. Just put in zeros. Don't worry if it's a whole lot of zeros, but of course we want you to report accurately because again, reporting is how the world runs, how grants run anyway, and we need to report back up to AmeriCorps Vista with all of the great work that you're doing this summertime. Another thing about the performance measures is that it's unduplicated, so please remember that we want to make sure as best you can that you're just tracking unduplicated children, beneficiaries, volunteers, etc. So there's a little form that we created to help you out. Again, it's going to be a Google spreadsheet. Each of you will have one of these. And again, this is the Missoula Food Bank example from last year. So there's going to be just a few performance measures, and these are the ones that we're going to be reporting back. We also want some other numbers for our general other reports because, again, numbers make the world go round. So there's a performance measure, the target. So for example, this is number of individuals receiving emergency food from food banks, food pantries, or other nonprofit organizations. Most of our summer meal sites are going to have a measure that looks like this. The target is 500. So the goal is that 500 individuals will receive food. And then the next column is data collection method, and this will be filled out by, you can work with your supervisor to fill this out. We don't expect you to know how to collect this. But the example is we'll be using sign-in sheets and meal count forms to track the number of children that eat in our summer feeding program. So that's an example. Hopefully that makes sense, that this is kind of the information you're using to track that number. Any questions about reporting? Riveting stuff. But again, so important.
So Erin, if
Yeah.
there's 3 of us at the food bank, we're each doing that Google document. So
Good question. So you can actually, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, Tammy. So we really need one report from each site. So the folks that have multiple summer associates serving with the site can just fill out one form every month, just to streamline things.
come together.
Yep, and that's great. You know, sit in front of a computer and get it done. Yeah. And we should mention also that the report is not, we understand that there's a lot more going on besides these numbers. So we do ask for input on successes, challenges, anything you want to share with us that we can, again, blast out to our networks and sometimes get national press for.
Also, I believe that you have to fill out every single space regardless of if you think there's a measure for you to track, just put in a 0.
Thanks, Sam. So I'll repeat that. So yeah, even if there's a bunch of zeros because nothing is applicable, please do fill it out because we want to see those numbers and make sure that you're understanding what that you completed it to the best of your ability. Okay, so I think I got a question about tracking hours in the chat box, and this should hopefully address that question. So your site has an activity log for you. It's emailed to them. So today or sometime in the first couple days, they should be giving you this activity log. It's really just tracking the week and just sort of what you're doing every day. And there's also hours. You can put in total hours here. And again, this stays at your site. AmeriCorps Vista service, you're full-time, you're technically 24/7, which is a little scary, and don't worry, your site is not gonna work you 24/7. Really, that's the expectation that if there are evening activities or weekend events, that it's the expectation that you'll participate as you're needed with those, and really, there's no excuse of, well, I hit my 40 hours. Hopefully you'll average 40 hours a week. That's kind of the standard. But again, and I know that Guts, like, for example, you guys are going to be out leading these summer trips, so out extensively, putting in a lot more than 40 hours a week. But again, you'll probably flex. So your site should have some system in place to make sure that you're having a balance of service and not service. So again, these are going to stay at your site. It's more to help potentially with reporting about how many students I saw today, or just kind of generally what you're doing, and that can be a tool, really a communication tool between your supervisor and your site and you. So again, you're not tracking hours with us. We're not collecting hours. The expectation is that you're serving as needed at your site. Okay. Here's a little calendar. It's pretty short and sweet because it's a short-term position. So we have 2 summer cycles, always with our first one, for example. So it's May 22nd to July 30th. That's that first cycle. And the cycle that most of you here today are in is June 1st to August 9th. So here we are today at this orientation. We've got these reporting deadlines here. Again, Sam from our office will email you out information about those reports and when they're due and how to do them. And then we're also going to have a close of service. So we'll come together again for a short webinar, talk about our accomplishments, share some stories, get into a little bit more about the Education Award and how to move forward. Putting service on your resume, how to incorporate that to your resume, or additional opportunities to stay engaged and involved with Montana Campus Compact, and also AmeriCorps around the country. And your site supervisors have this information too. And then another thing that we'll ask for you is just an impact report. It'll just be a simple paragraph or 2 about the accomplishments of your summertime. Again, it's another way that we can share stories, get our name out a little more, and again, show the good work that you'll be doing this summer. Okay, we're getting to the end here. So again, back to this paperwork. You had paperwork from our office, and then you also have a summer associate benefit election form, as well as an oath form. And I want to go through these forms with everyone because I will need these forms by, well, right now for our Missoula folks, and by 3 p.m. for our webinar folks. And just as an example of the benefits election form, so this is in addition to your living stipend. There's been some confusion, I understand that. So again, you're receiving pay, you're receiving a living allowance from our office. This is the benefit. So this is upon the completion of your service. You can either elect for the Education Award, which is really what we talk about because we see that it's the bigger impact, I guess. It's more money. But there's an option. So say if you don't plan to go to future school or don't plan to attend school in the future, you don't have any loans, good for you. Maybe you don't want this Education Award. Then you can elect for a summer stipend. And this explains that that is about $230. That's a little more. I think it's $287. That's for 8 weeks. So I think it's $287 for 10 weeks of service. So again, there's kind of a big difference between $1,230 and then $287. But of course, if that's your choice, great, go for it. So again, this is the summer associate benefit election form is really to say if you'd like the award or the stipend. You can leave the NSIPD blank. If you have filled it out, that's okay, but that's information that we can get in our office. So that's the benefits election form. And then the oath, we're gonna get into this in a little bit here, but again, the next step is to take an oath of service and to swear in for your 10 weeks. And that's just a signature, and if you're on a webinar, that could be someone else, another summer associate can be your witness, or your supervisor, as well as you're welcome to sign that. But please take that today, June 1st. And we'll go over kind of how to fill that out, the name of the project sponsor and all that stuff. We'll go out, fill that out after we actually do the oath. And again, I need those by 3 p.m. to place you successfully for service. Another thing that I will say, there's one more additional AmeriCorps piece, and that's the terms, benefits, conditions course. That was through Vista Campus. I know sometimes you can fill it out and then it doesn't track that you completed that. So you will need to complete that. And one way to check if that's complete is if you log into your account, your AmeriCorps account, and look at the, there should be a checkbox in your Vista assignment. So when you accepted the Vista position that you're placed in now, there should be some sort of kind of listing of Vista assignments. So in your service site, and then there should be a checkbox if you've completed that terms, conditions, benefits. So if everyone could check that, we're going to take a break before we switch gears. If everyone wouldn't mind, unless you know for sure that when you did the terms and benefits report and it said, congratulations, you've completed this report. I don't actually know what it says, but it should be obvious, I think, to say, okay, we've got you tracked through the check mark. It wouldn't hurt to go in and check it again, because that's something that is mandatory in order to place you for service. Okay. I don't think I see any questions. And great, I think that's it. So we're gonna take a little break, or well, hold on. Any questions about anything that we've covered, from starting with Josh and what Sam and I just mentioned about do's and don'ts, reporting, living stipend, living allowance is what should be consistent here, or any of those paperwork or forms. Any questions from people in the room or the webinar also? Okay, we're good to go. Awesome. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. And for everyone, if you don't mind checking your account to make sure you completed that tutorial, that applies for folks on the webinar too. And for folks on the webinar, so we'll take a break, and at 11, so a little before 11, please log into that second link. So I hate to complicate things, but there's another, it's a Skype webinar where we'll be joined by the state office. You get to meet the folks who help us administer this AmeriCorps grant. And it's, again, through a different login. So we can exit out of this webinar and join the next. Ready, go. Okay, thanks everyone.
Yummy.